because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
Good evening, Mr. De Villiers. Welcome back to the Good Track. How are you doing?
Yeah, Terence, good to be back. After spending some money on a fancy microphone, I managed to leave it at the office, so borrowed my wife's online teaching headset that she used on COVID. So,
well, you look like a total
hopefully-
legitimate golf commentator, so you certainly look the part.
Well, I'm sure that's how she looked when she was teaching as well. That was the look she was going for, Nick Faldo.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have those sort of headphones, then you're never going to be able to commentate properly on golf. It's just everyone knows that. That's why we wear them. I got to ask you, man, what's your like go to when you like feeling like really shit, like when you come down with like a flu or a hay fever or whatever? Do you have like a power like combo that you go to try and like stop it in its tracks?
Yes, for a while I didn't get sick at all, and then in the last 2 years I've been man down on numerous occasions, and I try and avoid taking medicine and anything. And yes, I've been like an absolute fish out of water when I've been sick. I've like floundered around, basically taken advice from anyone who will give it to me about what to take and when to take it. I mean, guys can hand me anything at that stage and I'll take it.
Yeah, man, something hit me today at like midday, and the whole bloody I played in the Hunt Cup this afternoon. So the whole bloody way around there, I was just sneezing my head off, and I feel like that guy in the advert whose head is like the 12 times the size of his body
in the fishbowl.
Yeah, I feel like the guy in the fishbowl, either him or the guy with the lobster on his face. Like those are my two options.
Isn't the lobster on the face? Wasn't that like a Oxycutum ad where the lobster was on the face?
That's something else. So, Anyway,
that is a throwback to the ages. Lady lobster on the face, Oxycutum, lady facial wash ads. But I feel like we're digressing even more from our golf roots than we were last week when the Oaks talked about Fiji for 45 minutes.
The size of the Fijian rugby player's legs. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm glad I wasn't on that podcast because guys were talking about a druid, and I was like, "What the hell is a druid?"
Yeah, dude.
It was like common knowledge. You're like, "Yeah, the Fijis, their druid's been great." I'm like, am I not hearing this correctly?
Oh my sake! I was 100% when we were recording that podcast. Like Jerome's like, "Yeah, the druid," and Carl's like, "Yeah," and I'm like,
the druid.
I'm like, "What? Like, what is this like a new like kind of freaking witch doctor that they've got on their side now from the island who's like making all the difference?" I was literally googling it while they were talking. So yeah, I was a bit in the deep end there as well.
So I did want to just say that when Hoff and Jerome were sort of doing humble brags or subtle hints about their credentials before they made comments on sort of rugby rules and interpretations, I really thought that you'd hit back with some of your credentials and say, well, if you really want to know the angle that, head is hit head or shoulder is hit head, you've got to have a survey assistant there and pull out your survey instrument and
3D map
work out the exact angles.
Yeah, listen. I didn't want to overshadow their like in-depth kind of takes,
Well, I mean, you've got to know that it's the guys are pulling hard on their credentials when you manage to link Owen Farrell to the Oscar Pistorius trial.
Yeah, jeez, I know. When Jerome started talking about the SCA and like on appeal, and I was like, jeez. We get it. You're a lawyer. No, just joking. It was actually a very good. He put it very well because they were talking about what are they talking about? Intent. Yeah, and it was a good. I like. It was a good angle. I like two lawyers talking about intent.
You like angles.
No, I was going to say earlier. So my normal go-to when I'm trying to stop like a flu in its tracks is I normally make like a hot toddy. You know what a hot toddy is? It's like
Yes,
a
it's that ginger shot basically.
ginger with a shot of whiskey and I cut up some lemon. And I normally try. That's like first phase. You know, that's like we push the alarm button. You know you're probably still going to get sick, but it's like hopefully you can stop it in its track. Anyway, I go to open our whiskey cabinet now, and there's no fucking whiskey. I think
How old's your son now?
Well, that's one point. But I think my in-laws have drunk it all when they were staying here with us. Yeah, bastards, eh?
Yes.
Anyway, we're gonna have to have
just quickly before we go on, I have to then tell you the story about growing up, and we were going out to a party or whatever, and I'd sort of just hit drinking age, so my stepdad said to me, "Oh, it's too late for the bottle store." So he said, "No, it's fine. You can just take the bottle of vodka that's in the bar. You know, it's been there for ages." So I was like, "Oh, thanks so much." Little did he know that over the last 2 years, when we had sort of had parties at home, we would just take a bit more of that vodka out and fill it up with water. So karma came back to bite me because he ended up giving me a bottle of water to take to a party.
yeah. Anyway, I've managed to find some old brown sherry in the back of the cabinet, and I've gone for like a similar mix, but it does feel like I'm drinking Christmas here. It feels like I'm drinking I'm drinking Christmas pudding, but it's actually not bad, I must say. So listen, we were gonna have our quick sort of take and stab on the Ryder Cup. There's obviously a lot of content out there, and I've never seen so much content in my life, to be honest. So we are not here to add to everyone's predictions on pairings and players and that, but we had a couple of I put a couple of interesting questions out to each of us. And so we're going to shoot through a bit of this. We are recording this a little bit later than we were hoping to, but in hindsight, actually, we actually have the advantage now because I see that we're recording this on Thursday evening, and I noticed that you sent me a message with the first matches for tomorrow. Is this accurate? Are these the actual matches?
Yeah, well, it was on Zaya Golf. Oh, okay. I mean, they're generally pretty reliable.
Okay. Yeah, so what's interesting is there's already some pairings in there that like guys we're not talking about for months, which is just shows that all the kind of like hana is it's
just before we get into the actual questions. I mean, what's your favorite pairing there, or your most interesting pairing?
Okay, well, I love Rahm Hatton as a pairing. That's actually going to be.
There's going to be some serious fiery.
They're going to be fired up, yeah. And they're taking on Scheffler Burns. I mean, that's a pretty heavyweight. That's a pretty heavyweight match. Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm guessing like John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler are going to be hitting the first tee shots because they're playing foursomes, so they're going to be hitting the first tee shots at the Ryder Cup, which is pretty sick.
But it's also Scheffler and Burns are so sort of put together, and they sort of go about their business, and then you've got Rahm and Hatton who miss a 30-foot putt, and they feel like there's like a bobble on foot one, and it's the end of the world. So two very different. You're gonna have Rahm and Hatton who are running at 4,000 revs, and the other two sort of idling.
Yeah, that's a very interesting pairing. I loving Rory and Tommy that's a vibe. I'm very interested to see Shane Lowry and Seb Straka are being asked to go out there first thing. Sure,
that could be tough.
That seems like it might be a bit of a tough scene, but who knows?
Yeah. Hovland and Ludwig, I think for me could be. Yes, I think they could be setting things on fire. A couple of guys from the Nordic side of things.
I love that pairing. Up. So I dig those. I like those pairings, I must say. So we're gonna try and make this short and sharp. So one of the first things we said was who's a player who isn't at the Ryder Cup, who maybe you don't necessarily think should have be there on merits or whatever, but who do you really wish was there that isn't there now?
I had a couple of ideas. I mean, I was thinking, obviously looking at.
They have to be alive.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, yeah,
They have to still be actually playing professional golf, not like
old Tom
Gary
Morris
play.
would have been a great pairing with Rory. Yeah,
Yeah,
Gary
imagine
would
just
be
rolling
epic.
out like old Tom Morris and Rory, like as your first foursome. Like that'd be like, good luck. Yeah,
Look, I think obviously, I mean the sort of Moronks and the world would be who you'd look at, but yes, I would absolutely have loved to have seen Patrick Reed there. I mean, imagine Patrick Reed had won a major, and after suing Rory and on like what was it, Christmas Eve or something, serve papers on Rory McIlroy, and now they need to play each other in the Ryder
yeah,
Cup. I think, and Patrick Reed is just, he lives for that match play, but is just such a dick, and so much content. I mean, shushing the crowd, and I wish, and obviously with all of the live shit that's gone on, I think Patrick Reed would have just been, yes, he would have thrown a cat amongst the pigeons.
yeah, totally. I mean, he's brought so many like proper Ryder Cup moments, and we're going to get into this in some of my comments later. But yeah, that's a good one. I mean, he's a guy I think a lot of us European fans love to hate, but he definitely brought some spice. There is a bit of a sense of like the US team that I'm like, I kind of like all those guys. You know, I'm trying to find someone that I really don't like. I really don't
But
like
I
their
also
captain.
liked it.
So Zach
Yeah,
Johnson's my
yeah,
my
yeah,
my
yeah.
target for my ire of winning. But so I'll tell you who.
But I
Hmm?
also I also liked when I enjoyed when the US team didn't like each other. I just thought that gave such an interesting angle, even when they went out in the last one and sort of demolished the Europeans, the fact leading up to it that Brooks was making those comments and everyone was getting upset with them, and Brooks and Bryson had their beef, and it's just having those little subplots where that people on the team don't like each other. It just gives another layer to what's going on the course, and everyone in the US team just likes each other now, and that's a bit boring. Even with Phil and them in the team room, there were guys there that weren't big Phil fans, and I don't know.
Yeah,
So I agree
you
with
wonder
you.
if
I
you
think
wonder
I
if it's
like
going to
all
be
the
a
US.
disadvantage to them. They just all get along too well, you know.
Yeah,
So my
they're not going to hold
my
each other.
player is in a similar theme. I think he has a better shot for being at actually being there, probably on merit this year. But that is Bryson. Like that guy, just in a similar vein to Patrick Reed. I mean, that guy just brings so much, such a uniqueness to any tournament he's playing in. There's no other golfer really like him. Just like from his freaking pre-round interviews where he's talking about, like wanting to like live forever, and yeah, like to like his just ridiculous like obsession with like the golf swing and trying to hit the ball as far as he can, and then like the guy's spending like 4 hours on the range after like a round of golf, and he's actually hasn't played terribly this year. I mean, I think he just won the last live golf tournament. I mean, at the last Ryder Cup, I'll never forget that moment where I think he drove the first green. It was a short par 4, and he like just takes
Yeah.
his putter out of his bag and like raises it up to the crowd like he's freaking like Lancelots, and Knights of the Round Table. I mean, you can't tell me that you're going to get that out of any of the American guys now. Like they're all kind of fine, but yeah, maybe Justin Thomas is going to get that riled up, But I would love if he was there.
And Ricky Fowler. It's going to be lucky having Ricky Fowler back in a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, but he's
Although I agree with you, he's no Bryson for sort of on course
yeah.
antics. And Patrick. I mean, having Bryson and Patrick in the mix would have been a gold
Yeah,
mine.
so there's definitely a little bit less exciting without some of these like special people there. On the European side, I didn't really. I mean, the guys who missed out, there wasn't really. There wasn't anyone of note. I'm not really missing any of those old guys. Okay, so who do you like in terms of like? Well, just quickly, who are your picks on each side for like the most points? European side first.
So I gave. So I mean, it depends really on who plays the most. So
Yeah, a little bit.
you're not going to go with Ludwig or Strucker or one of the captain's picks. Even I don't even think you'd pick Justin Thomas on that one because the guys aren't. I don't think they're going to play the most. So it is going to come from that top tier of players where they're going to play 4 or 5 matches. I think both teams are going to avoid anyone playing 5, but the people who win the most are going to play the 5 matches. So with that being said, I think it's probably going to be either like a John Rahm or a Rory or a Scotty Scheffler or someone like that. So most points for me from Europe, I'd say John Rahm, and most points from America, I'd probably go Scotty Scheffler. Not the most
Sure,
out
that's
there
super controversial.
picks, but
number one and number 2 in the world. Okay, so I picked a player from each side. I agree. I think John Rahm's been getting a bit of heat lately for not having necessarily the best form, and he had he cooled off a little bit. I think people have forgotten how he started this year, and there's something about Spanish players in these team format competitions. Like if you think about John Rahm at the last his first Ryder Cup at Le Golf National in Paris, where he took down Tiger in the singles. You think about Olazabal, you think about Sevi. Even last week at the Solheim Cup, that Spanish player Saganda ended up beating the world number 1 Nelly Korda to win a match. So like for me, I'm very comfortable picking Rahm as like the top point scorer, and then my American pick is a little bit out there, very out there actually. But I think guys are sleeping on Sam Burns, and I know it's tough when you're not sure how many matches the guys are going to play, but Sam Burns is a monster. Like when it comes to just like knowing how to win. He obviously won the World Match Play this year, and I've watched like numerous tournaments that he's won. I mean, he's won a number of PGA tournaments now, and a couple of them have been in playoffs. And he's just a winner. He just seems to know how to like kind of get the ball in the hole in a big moment. So I kind of like that pick. It's a little bit out there, but I'm happy with that.
A winner in a good sense. I mean, I remember a winner used to be actually a loser. You're like, yes, that is such a winner.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's going to be paired with Scotty Scheffler quite a bit, which is not a bad partner to have. I mean, they're going out tomorrow morning, aren't they? Yeah, they are. First match out. So apparently they're very good mates, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And okay, now who's going to lay the egg on each side? Where did you come out with that? I mean, it's real guesswork because it could be anyone, but
it could be anyone.
Well, I mean,
I think
senses.
to lay an egg, you've got to come in with some sort of expectation. So, I think the pick from the American side, which you would obviously say, oh well, Justin Thomas is going to lay an egg, but he sort of already put the feathers in his nest with some of his play this year. So I mean, it's pretty much expected he's going to lay the egg. So I'm not going to say Justin Thomas. I think you've got to look at someone, almost the people who we've just picked to be the top point scorers are your biggest egg layer potential. So yeah, I mean, if you think about someone like John Rahm, who's arguably the top European player at home, probably going to play a bunch of matches. If he has a bad week, I mean, that is like massive egg laying potential.
So you're picking Rahm to be the best player and to lay an egg. Feels like you're covering all your bases here.
Okay, so I'm not going to pick John Rahm to lay the egg, although you've got to sail close to the wind with these picks, and basically you're either going to come off like an oracle or an absolute.
Sure.
Yes, knows nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this is a big one, but I think Ludwig, who everyone's hyped up big time, is going to lay a bit of an egg.
No, that's fair enough. So I think this is not really based on all that much, but I just have a feeling that like Shane Lowry is not going to play particularly well. I'm very interested to see the fact that he's going out in the first round in the foursomes. I heard him talking on the radio or on an interview. Apparently, he has never played this golf course before, which was kind of interesting considering he's European. It's not really what you want to hear. Like when you're like, yeah, home ground advantage, and like, oh yeah, I saw it for the first time last week. Like a lot of rough. That was like basically what he said. He was like, yo, there's a lot of rough. I was like, ooh, it doesn't sound like he's got positive memories yet already. Yeah, not really based on anything. And then on the US side, I've gone with Jordan Spieth. Like, you never really know what you're going to get with Spieth. He just had like his second lighty. So I reckon that the head might not necessarily be there 100%. I'm I don't know. I think he might just he might just drive it a little bit off the planet, which apparently is not a good thing to do
especially
at this golf course.
Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. I mean, that is such a like spin the roulette wheel at the moment, and you're either going to get shit or champagne at the end of it. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, they could if both of them play their worst golf, and we've seen them play some pretty bad golf. I mean, Justin Thomas at the Open, to think of one. I know Jordan's been through the doldrums and come back, but if if they both hit their worst golf at the same time, it could be a tough scene.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much talk of them like, oh, they're definitely going to play together and that. Well, like already we're seeing that they're not sending them out tomorrow morning. I don't know if I would send them out like in a 4-ball format. Like it feels like they can make birdies, but it also feels like both of them could fucking double bogey holes together. So I would be pairing. There's so many.
It's one of those ones where
there's so many horses in that US team. I would definitely send them out, but I'd probably be splitting them up. Like, yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. The worst celebration? What? This was an easy one for me, I reckon. Who do you reckon is going to just give the worst celebration?
Zach Johnson, without a doubt. I mean, he's he's a proven terrible celebrator. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to insert himself into it with some super lame, cheesy, bloody celebration at some stage.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to like run onto a green like after a match or something and just kind of get a bit carried away? Like, what are you expecting?
I hope so. I sort of want him to do another one of those coordinated, like hand, clap hand sort of handshakes with the teammates.
Yes.
Maybe that's something that they're working on in their team room. That for me would just be the chef's kiss.
I would love to see him come out on the first tee like tomorrow morning and like try and like get the crowd going, and like no one claps with it.
He could take a beer can to the face if that happens.
Yeah, it's just like sort of like ZJ, we're not following you on this one, bud. Yeah, I definitely had him. Like I definitely had him up there. But like I was thinking about who's the sort of like most awkward player, like in terms of like a lot of these guys are like just individual professional golfers, and like when you see them playing on the PGA Tour, they kind of stick within themselves, and like you don't see a lot of emotion necessarily from them, and then you put them in this like type of environment, like this kind of cauldron, and you get this kind of like awkward, like this like, oh, I'm now going to do something that like I've never ever done before in my life, And when I looked at all 24 Oaks, the guy that stood out to me the most is Matt Fitzpatrick. Like he's like,
I thought
he's like the sort of geekiest like guy of the lot, and like I don't know, there may be some like super awkward like high five that he misses, or like tries to do a chest bump, or there's going to be something, I reckon. So yeah, he's my pick.
I thought you were going to say Justin Rose for a second, because he's also,
but he's kind of got like experience,
an accountant.
Right?
It's like an accountant like absolutely celebrating his books balancing. I mean, that's Justin Rose like having a celebration.
Yeah, I do remember his celebration when he beat Phil Mickelson in the Medina singles. I think it was on like the 17th hole. He sank like a absolute bomb of a putt. I think to go like one up or something. And like I do remember it being a fairly well coordinated sort of just like a low double fist pump.
The low double fist pump. That was the low, slow
with
double
like a
fist
bit
pump.
of a little bit of a pelvis movement in there. You know what I mean? It wasn't awful, but it was fine. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going with Matt. I reckon there could be some super awkward moment there.
No, it's a good one.
Okay. I mean, worst outfits. I mean, obviously the US, like. And I think they'll on day 2. I'm predicting on day 1. I think the US are going to come out with some pretty tight stuff. And then I think on day 2, they're going to push the boat out a little bit because they're going to get a bit ahead of themselves. And the fashion teams are going to send them out with something. And yeah, it's going to be very spicy. So that's my prediction is US for the shittiest outfits. Day 2. Day 3, they're going to rein it in.
Okay. Well, it'll sort of be like the Solheim Cup, although I must say the Solheim Cup, I did not like the one outfit with the sort of Spanish colors down the one side. I was,
those sort of like the matador. They're almost like we're trying to dress them up like matadors.
Yes.
Yeah. I was kind of okay with that. I was kind of weirdly in on that.
Yeah. But look, I mean, if it was up to me and if it was up to a single player, I just wish like one of the sessions they were like, right, Victor Hovland, you've got the reins. You can dress us up in whatever you want.
I forgot about that.
If he's just let Victor Hovland go wild.
That's so true. If his, or even if anyone in his team has had any influence on that, like that could be very interesting. He's had some pretty wild outfits this year. Good.
But I feel like he'll get voted down. But
yeah. I mean, Luke Donald is if we just talk about the captains, okay. There's no comparison in terms of class. I mean, I've always just thought Luke Donald exudes class, I mean, and Hoff confirmed that with the fact that he once responded to one of Hoff's tweets, that just shows you the metal of the friends. Man, yeah. And just his dress has always been on point. And I mean, Zach Johnson, I mean, we don't have to say a whole bunch there. It's never really done it for me. So, I don't think Luke is going to allow them to wear some sort of like shocker out there. I think that's going to be very refined. I think it'll be interesting if they bring some sort of Italian style vibes into it. And like Robert McIntyre pull off like an Italian style vibe. That's where there's always a bit of a clash.
Well, I want you to just elaborate on what an Italian style vibe is. I mean, what are the guys going to be?
Yeah, I think maybe slightly
those outfits like running with the ball outfits.
No, that's Spanish. That's Spanish.
Shit. Just edit that out.
Good thing you're not in charge of the outfits or even organizing a tour around Europe.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Wrong country.
I think of Spanish guys of being like slightly steamy, but not as steamy as like a Greek. So like tighter shirts, maybe slightly tightish pants, but not excessively tight. I think Italian people have got good style in general. I know there's some exceptions, but it'll be let's see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's quite a refined person, old Luke. So let's see what happens.
Well, I can only hope that he insists that his whole team wears visors.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's going to happen. Seems unlikely. I'm every now and again I'm still checking my phone. I'm desperately hoping that. So we're missing Mr. Hoffman tonight. Who I was preoccupied unfortunately, and he's playing bingo. I mean, let's be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. And we're really hoping he was going to call in from the bingo room. So. Yeah, we just watched the space. It'd be amazing just to hear how the bingo is going tonight. Yeah.
Well, I did see a couple of photos that were shared of him handing some prizes out at the bingo.
Okay. So maybe
I'll hold my takes on that, but let's see. Maybe he'll get in here later.
Sure. Yeah. Hopefully it was a clean evening of bingo, and there were no injuries or deaths. That's all you can hope for out of a bingo evening. Yeah. Okay, so
we'll have to ask Hoff for the best dressed and best celebration at the bingo evening.
Oh gosh, that would be interesting. Yeah, with some video footage. Yeah, you can imagine the best celebration might be quite elaborate. Bingo. Yeah.
Sounds like you've been to a couple of bingo nights there, Terence.
I haven't. I tell you, I don't think I've played bingo since I was about 12 years old at the Mschlange Sands Hotel on like an Easter holiday. So yeah, that's about as far as my bingo repertoire goes. But I'm glad Hoff's finding some extramural activities to do and to sponsor. Moving swiftly along back to the Ryder Cup. So the last kind of question was a little open ended. So it was what do you really want to see? What's going to get your juices flowing this weekend? It can be more than one thing. I've got sort of a couple here.
So, I just want to see some controversy where the guys get up in each other's grill, or there's some rules issue where someone calls someone out for something a little bit dicey, or an intimation, or that they cheated, or that they don't give a putt, or they take a putt that they haven't given.
Yeah, I didn't give
I
you
just
that.
want to see something like that, which just gets under their skin, or like either way, whether it's the Americans or the Europeans doing it to the Americans, or Americans doing it to the Europeans. Yes, I'd love to see some sort of a rules controversy, but one team or one player calling it on another player that just riles up everyone. I think for me, as a sort of obviously supporting Team Europe, but not from Europe or from America, I think that'd make it super interesting.
Yeah, that'd be.
I think it was in the Solheim Cup a couple of years ago when. Wasn't there a situation where there was like a clear tap and one of the players scooped it and they said, no, we didn't give that to you. And everyone was in tears and captains ran on and started shouting at each other. If we could see that this weekend, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think I reckon it'll be something to do with like a bad drop. It'll be like a player, because I believe the rough is pretty intense there. But they also have a massive build out, remember, at these Ryder Cups. So I reckon what will happen is there'll be a player in like real shit, like in the rough, and then he'll claim that some like TV tower or something is like in his way. And it'll be super subjective, and you'll get all the players will be there, the captains, you'll get the caddies involved, a couple of like Italian fans will get involved. That's be so cool. Yeah, and it must happen on like tomorrow or Saturday, so that it like lingers the whole.
It must happen early, first session.
I love that. So,
but you keep on mentioning dodgy drops in the rough and talking about a player. I mean, are you talking about Gary player specifically, or?
The Black Knights. Don't go there. Okay, so I'll
anyway,
I've got a couple
moving
of
swiftly
things.
along. What else?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. I reckon just out of I reckon the two captains should have a handshake agreement that they will pair up Brian Harman versus Bob McIntyre in the singles. So I want to see like a battle of the gutsy lefties. That's like a little like game within a game that I'd like to see, and put them out first, like like a little entree for everyone. That would be. I mean, that's a real minor thing, but I think that's like a nice little side story.
Yeah, I like that.
It goes without saying that we really kind of need a close Ryder Cup. I think the last, I think we'll have to go back to kind of Medina to have the last close one. And honestly, my mind goes back to the not the one that was played in Wales and
Glen Eagles.
Not the K Lodge, not Glen Eagles. Manor, something like that. Anyway, it's completely
Celtic Manor.
Celtic Manor, that's right.
Sorry.
Where Graham McDowell, it came to basically that match between Graham McDowell and Hunter Mahan, and Graham McDowell sunk that awesome putt, and then Hunter Mahan like flubbed that chip, and it was literally the whole fucking crowd was around one green. I mean, that was mad. And looking at the Solheim Cup and how intensely close that was, and how exciting that finish was. It would really be good if it was close. So that's the first thing, and I would love to see like a very heavyweight match decide the Ryder Cup. And when I say heavyweight, I mean like heavyweight players. So what I wrote down here was John Rahm versus Brooks Koepka. And I think people have been giving Brooks has had a bit of light taken off him in the last couple of months. People are saying he's not. Hasn't been playing well, etc. But we must remember who we're talking about here. A person who gets up for big occasions. And I mean, if you go back to the beginning of this year, the first two majors, essentially the Masters became a shootout between Rahm and Koepka. Koepka was disappointing in that final round, but I mean, he was the story of the Masters to some degree. Obviously, John Rahm winning it was amazing as well, and then Koepka just coming back and winning the PGA. So, and then just like the stature of both those guys, you know, I think like a match like that. I know we could go to like a Rory versus a JT or a Scheffler, but to me, when you're talking about like real heavyweights, major winners. I would love a little Rahm Brooks kind of finale. That would be epic. What else have you got?
I think, and I know this is a bit of a lame take, but for me, there's an issue with the crowds being, going over the top from being, a part of where I mean, what was the one Ryder Cup where guys were like spitting at Rory, and I mean, what I want to see is the crowd getting involved and being a part of it and being a factor, but not being, what's the word, overly, where it's an actual issue, and I know that's not the hottest. It's a bit of a lame take, but I hope that the crowd don't take away from the action that takes place.
Yeah.
Because I think that I don't know. As much as I want to see controversy, that's not great. I mean, the mashed potatoes when guys are trying to hit drivers or shouting and backswings and the rest of it. You still want to see the guys playing the sort of the best golf that they can play. And when I say that, I mean also I think on that first tee box. Yeah, what would be great is if an American, tries to get the crowd sort of riled up or cheering on his backswing, and everyone just goes completely silent. I think that would be more disconcerting than everyone cheering.
Yeah, I mean the other angle to that is that this golf betting thing is becoming a real problem. And when I say that, I mean that like people in the crowd trying to have an influence on an outcome. And in a match play situation, obviously the influence you can have is quite significant. If you've picked one side of a certain match, so it will. Yeah, it's a fair point. I agree with you. I think there's always a line. Generally, I think it's kind of it's generally the line it's been crossed on a couple of occasions, but I think it's part of the Ryder Cup. But yeah, it would be good to see it being done in a manner which doesn't have like influence outcomes, I suppose.
Yes, influence outcomes in the wrong way. I mean, you want it to influence the outcome. You still want Europe to have the home advantage, yes. but not not at like on a specific shot because someone screamed in your backswing.
Okay, so my last one is almost as serious as that one, Jacques. Is so just picture the scene. It's John Rahm sinks the winning putt, and the European team run across to celebrate onto the green. And while they're running, they accidentally, of course, bump Zach Johnson and Patrick Cantlay, who both fall into like a pot bunker, like next to the 18th green. And this is kind of like captured in slow mo. And then like everyone just carries on going, and that's kind of the last we see of Cantlay and Zach Johnson. It's just kind of lying face down in the sand.
So that
is that
so that's what you want to see. No. Just the only thing I think was unrealistic there is I don't know how many pot bunkers there are on those closing holes. That's the only unrealistic aspect.
Pot bunker gave it away that I've never been to visit the course, but I mean a pot bunker is a bit more dramatic to fall into. So no, I guess I'm pointing out my disdain. Probably those are probably the two players that I can get up for not liking in the US team or captain and team. So. That's just a bit of a tongue-in-cheek effort there at what I want to see. But yeah, I mean, I really do hope it's close. I hope that it is. I hope that it's sort of like won in a way, but by like, I guess it's the same as like when you're watching a major or something like that. You watching a car crash is always very, very fucking intriguing. Watching guys just completely like lose their minds and like bogey the last like 6 holes.
Start shanking the ball and
But in a match play scenario, it's far more entertaining seeing guys like go out and like freaking win matches. I mean like that European lady, I think her name
Carlotta.
No,
Lots of
the
Skanda.
Swedish. There was a Swedish girl,
Headwall.
Headwall. I mean, I think she
Headwall.
played the last 6 holes and 6 under. Like, okay, I think she was conceded her putt on the 18th hole, but still, I mean, that's the type of like golf that hopefully we see. And I think the golf course is going to be a very good match play course. I know there's been comments on architecture and rough and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's an exhibition match. What you want is good crowds, and they've got some holes. I mean, I think I've watched the Italian Open a couple of times in the last 2 years, and I think particularly of the 16th hole, I think that's going to be probably the sickest hole out there. Last hole, 3 holes to go, drivable par 4. I think it's going to decide a lot of the matches. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, not only drivable par 4, but I mean hole-in-oneable par 4s. Looks like after what's going around with Hovland making that hole-in-one, and it's one of those ones where it's you're like, don't do it in the practice round, man. Save those ones for the main occasion.
100%. And I mean that 16th hole is like would be all of our worst nightmare. It like if it's a drivable par 4, but there's a huge dam to like the right hand side of the green and the fairway. It's like, as proper amateurs, that like most of us are just going to like carve one out into the middle of that dam. So
well, I was going to say snap hook territory for me.
Yeah, I mean, that like and that'll be great to see, like one of the teams like puts the ball on the green, and then like what's going to happen, like is Justin Thomas going to just carve one out into the dam, or like I think hopefully there'll be some big moments decided on that hole. It looks that's a super intriguing hole. Listen, I'm very concerned for the future of our work golf cup, because one of your work colleagues today came in with his 24 handicap. He I think he got 10 points in the last 4 holes, and we managed to beat the guys we were playing against by 1 up, and they were a 2 and a 7 handicap. I don't think they were super tough to lose to the 24 handicap, who was like 1 over for like the last 4 holes.
Yeah, no. He's. I think that handicap is not going to last for long.
Yeah. Well, look. To be fair,
it's one of those ones where you need to make hay while the sun's shining.
Yeah.
Take as many bets and high stakes bets as you can while you're for 24.
Yeah. No, you should be out there with him playing in some golf days, and as a bettable partner. But no, I mean to be fair, obviously there were other rougher holes before that, but yeah, actually we had a lacquer little finish there, and it's always it's always interesting. It's always good beating some like really good golfers. So we were 2 down with 4 to go, and we literally won like 15, 16, halved 17, and then we won 18. So we just like we snatched it from the jaws of defeat. So that was fun.
Well, I think so. You guys played at Sambiti, and for me, that's just such a clever way to do a golf course in this day and age. And I think we might have to look at Sambiti and the executive course and sort of maybe tied into you're in Gowrie. I mean, we want to hear a bit about that, but I would love to do a dive into Sambiti. I think that's such a good idea for a golf course in this day and age.
Yeah, and the perfect golf day. I mean, to have a shotgun start 9-hole golf day on essentially what is a course that is like pretty much a par 3 course with a couple of longer holes. So it's like an hour and a...
Well, what did Hoff call it? Hoff called it Mashie. Called it glorified Mashie, which I don't think it is.
No, I think that's very unfair
statement.
to Sambiti. I think there's some really great holes there. There's definitely one Mashie hole, but there's some really, really good holes there. And
I think it's a great course.
And I think about it. It's an hour and a half of golf. I mean, now you're in the realms of competing with some other sort of activities like paddle and that. And it was a really, really good setup. So. Yeah, as you mentioned, I spent a little bit of time at Gowrie this week, and very interested to get that podcast recorded at some time with the guys at Gowrie, because what they've built there is going to be super epic, and I know a lot of people are big fans of that golf course, and I don't
there's one of them right here.
think that you are going to be disappointed with the new holes that they've built. I think it's going to take a bit of time to grow in. Of course, that's goes without saying with any golf course, but yeah, they have built some. They have built some very interesting golf holes there. So yeah, I'm very keen to get into those when I chat with them. But listen, Jacques, we try to keep it to half an hour. We're only human.
Only 20 minutes over.
We're only 17 minutes over. So, and unfortunately, no call in from the bingo hall, but we can only assume, that Carl's, otherwise occupied, perhaps maybe he's made it into the final. Who knows?
But Terence, you have to give your very uninformed opinion on who's going to win and what the score is going to be.
I think Chantal from house number 59 is going to win the bingo. But a Ryder Cup, okay.
Maybe not the score, just who's going to win.
Yeah, I got to say that I just think that the average strength of the US team, and I know it's a European Ryder Cup, and I know that it's difficult to win there. They haven't won for 30 years, but I just feel like that average weighting of there's so much pressure on the very top European guys to really perform that I think the US may win a very close one, very close, 15-13 or 14.5, 13.5, something like that. Yeah. So that's my prediction.
Well, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I did take a bet on the Europeans to win some time ago, actually, a good couple of months ago, before they started coming into a bit of form. I'm going to maintain that position, although I do agree with you. I feel like the Europeans are being hyped a bit more than they usually are. But I still think the Europeans in Europe at Marco Simone will take it. But I agree. I think it will be a close one.
Nice. Good. Well, we're on other sides of the fence. There's some good betting opportunities, by the way, because you can do a lot of parlays of bets with the match play matches. So that's another way to kind of stay engaged if it does look like it's going one-sided, one way or the other. Essentially, you've got 5 sessions of potential bets that you can get in. So I'm definitely going to go on now and have a look at what I like and bet a few matches into each other.
Yeah, that worries me because my brother and my dad and myself all have access to the same betting accounts, and every now and then you go and look at some of the bets that have been taken. I mean, I have to just say, the one time I looked at a bet and it was like, what the hell? There's like a 10,000 Rand payout for a 50 Rand bet. What bet is this? So then I go into our bets and I see my brother's called South Africa and New Zealand to tie, and Australia and Argentina to tie in the rugby, and I'm like, oh my word, Sean, just drive to Betway and give me $50 and let's call it a day.
Yeah, when you start.
I've got a feeling that our family betting group is going to lose a lot of money this weekend.
It might be active this weekend. You might need to put some hard limits on maximum amount per bet. Yeah.
We did actually put a bunch of rules out. I can tell you for free that those have not been adhered to. My brother was betting on chariot races and stuff at one stage. We were like, no, you need to keep it to sport that's actually televised.
Oh, that's good. Jacques, this has been fun. We'll catch up soon.